Okay, so I have these two images shot in stereo. For those of you that were in class and could use it, the two camera sort of tripod head keeps the cameras in close alignment, and we had them probably 12 inches apart. A traditional stereo camera would be more like 6 inches apart, but the further apart, the more exaggerated the effect will be. For those of you that were not in class, the easy way of doing this is to basically stand looking at the object that you want to photograph, plant your feet, and then lean slightly onto one foot that moves you over about 5-6 inches. Take a picture, and then slowly lean back over and put your weight on the other foot and take a picture. And that's what I did for the two of these, but you'll notice that there's some alignment issues, but I can relatively easily correct them. Hopefully you don't hear too much background noise. I've got the printer preparing to print these things, so there's a little bit of a distraction on my end. So I'm going to click on the perspective crop tool, and I will just go ahead and go into both of these and draw a box, basically corner to corner all the way across. But what the perspective crop tool allows me to do is grab one corner and pull it up until my horizontal lines are relatively in alignment with the grid on the image here. So if I pull that one up, this one is pretty much set, and I can hit enter and it will tweak that so things are in better alignment. And then this one, I think there's a little bit more issue because this bar seems to be going downward while this one's going upward, if that makes sense. So I will grab, again, the bottom left and pull it up until I'm relatively in alignment there. And now I'll grab the top left corner and pull it down until that bar is relatively in alignment, which I'm pretty happy with there. So now the two of these are lined up. For stereo viewing, we need to crop them. A traditional stereo card is 3.5 tall by just shy of 7 wide, so we're going to make them 3.5 by 3.5 squares. And so if I type 3.5 by 3.5 up here, and I'm going to type in 300 resolution, when I click on my, oops, I got to grab my normal crop tool, and then this will work right. 3.5 by 3.5 and 300. It's going to automatically center my crop, which I think is probably what I want to do. And I'll hit return or enter. There we go. And then I do the same over here. It remembers those values, so we're good to go. Now, for the actual stereo card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my canvas size for one of these wider, so I'm going to make the width 7, and I'll click either, depending on which one I'm on, this will be the left image, so I want to click on the left arrow here, and that means that it'll push the canvas to the right, and that gives me space to take this one, grab my move tool, and drop it in here. If I hold down shift when I do it, it'll center it left, right, top, bottom, and then I can just hold down shift and drag it to the right, and it will lock it in. So I'm actually realizing that I have them switched. So I'm going to step back and do that canvas size again. I'm just hitting Command Z to go backward. Image, canvas size, make it 7 for my width. Now when I drop it in, this will make more sense. There we go. So that would be our stereo card. I'm going to just save that out. Let's see, save as on my computer. No, I guess I should save it as a JPEG, so I will export as, where'd it go? There it is. And we'll just leave it full resolution. Will be fine, but now it'll actually let me save it as a JPEG. I've already named a previous one stereo JPEG, so I'm going to um, just save it as stereo JPEG. And then I can go back in my history to undo all these things, and I'm going to do the red cyan adjustment. Now I'm leaving the crop settings in. I haven't gone back far enough that it'll undo those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my move tool again. They're full resolution, not cropped to square. And I'll take this one and I will drop it on top of this one. If I hold shift, it should relatively keep it in alignment, although what I'm going to find is that I did tip the camera up and down a little between the two frames, which I probably should have cropped for when I made the stereo cards, but the top seems about the same. Oh, actually, the top is definitely different. Alright, so we have a little bit of an issue there. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you how to align things and how to stretch things so that they align a little bit better. So I can hide this one. I don't care about that one anymore. And I'll zoom in a little bit here. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take my opacity and bring it down to about 50%. Now, in an ideal world, what I would do here is to just pull up the foreground, or pull down the foreground, depending on what I'm working with here, and align this element in the foreground. There we go. It's kind of jumpy on me because I'm recording the screen. Okay, so now we're going to look back here and see if our railing seem to align, and they do. Okay, so now what I'll go ahead and do is I'll pull this back over and line up those railings as close as I can get them. That's close, and I can just use my up, down, left, right arrow keys. And I'm kind of happy with that. That bar is lining up really nicely, and in the foreground these are lining up fairly close. And then the important thing is that when I turn off the background, I'm still filling the screen relatively, and I'll end up cropping this stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with that crop. And my crop is going to be, let me think here, 3.5. So 5 by, I think it'll be 5 by 7.5 would be my normal aspect ratio. So I'll just do 7.5 and 5. Huh. My math is off. Yeah, we'll make it 5.5 because if we take 3.5 from 8, that will give us, oh, okay, that's only 4. Huh. Alright, so maybe it's going to be 4 by 6. I want to keep the top here, so I guess I'm going to crop up a little bit more. Oops, I should be doing this from the right side, or the left side, not the right side. Okay, and I can see that's where my side there gets cut. Alright, so I'm going to go with that. It's not keeping the very top bar, which was what was in perfect alignment, but that's going to be okay. Alright, so I have both of my layers aligned for the background, closely aligned for the foreground, and now what I need is I need to switch the cyan red colors. So I'm going to turn off my top layer, and on top of the background layer I'm going to make a color channel mixer. Now this is going to stay as a layer, whereas before we were doing it up here in image adjustments. This permanently applies that change, and because I'm not actually sure which side should be the cyan versus red, I'm going to make this not permanent by putting it in as a layer that I can turn on and off. So I'll go in here to channel mixer, and I'm going to say this is the right eyeball, which, if I remember right, is the cyan. So what I'll do is I'm going to go into both my red, or I'm going to go only into my red channel, and I'm going to take out the red. Okay, so that leaves green and blue, which equals cyan. And I'm going to apply it only to the layer below it by right-clicking on here and hitting Create Clipping Mask. And that way when I go in here, and I'll do it to the top one too, it's going to only apply it to the top one, and that other one is going to only apply it to the bottom one. So this one's a little bit more complicated. So I have to leave my red, go into my blue, or my green and my blue, and make them both 0. Okay. Now, this is rather dark, so that is a little bit of an issue. And what I can do is I can put a curve on top of this and brighten it up. And that way we can see a bit more detail. And that should give us a 3D effect. Now we could take this even further by making things that are far away less or more in alignment, and things that are in the foreground less in alignment, which is actually kind of what I did here, because you can see that the railing is pretty much aligned. So the important thing is that what is farthest away is what you should align to. If I align my wood railing here at the front, my background would be all crazy. But this will make it feel like the foreground is popping off the page more when you're looking at it with the 3D glasses. Okay, that's all. We're going to take this file, which again is 4x6, and we're going to stack on top of it or below it the stereo cards. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to go into Image, Canvas Size, and we're going to make it the size of a 8x10 piece of paper, basically. So I'll make my width 8, my height 10, and I want to click either the top or bottom arrow here to give it a direction to extend that canvas. Whoa! And my canvas was not, it is white. I don't know why it was doing that. Ugh. Maybe it doesn't show white on the recording. Maybe it does. Okay. Let's see here. Wow. It should not be. It should not be funky. Oh. Is that? No? Oh, okay. I get it. It's because my channel mixer. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my background here. And let's see. Well, you know what? We're just going to, we're going to do it the other way. All right. I have it figured out, I think. I'm going to go back in my history to before I did my canvas size, and I'm going to open up. I'll save this file, export as, and I'm going to call this my 3D Okay, now I'm going to close that. They're both JPEGs, so it's going to get rid of that whole bit of, what am I trying to say, of the layers. So now when I open these, of course it's trying to open them in Preview. I want to open them in Photoshop because I'm going to stack them together to print them. So I will just grab one, make my canvas. Ooh, okay. For some reason my resolution's a little wonky when I reopen it, so I'm going to change that back to 300, which gives me 7 by 3.5. That's great. Now, if I do 8 by 10 for my canvas size, choose a direction to expand it, pull out my 3D, drag, hold shift, and drop. It'll center it. Hold shift and drag it down. And now it's good to go. So we're going to go to Command P to print it. It is finding the large Epson, I just want to find the Canon. We're going to choose Photoshop Manages Colors. We're going to choose Canon Pro, and I have a luster paper. And we're going to just go into print settings and reset this to be letter size. So that should be under layout? No, paper handling. No. Okay. Canon is different than what I'm used to for Epson. Oh, here we go. It was there. So just under, change it from custom to US letter. There we go. And I'll save that. And now that looks like it's going to fit. As long as I have the right color profile, it should print the colors accurately. And I'll just go ahead and hit print.